She was born Paulette Williams and transformed into Ntozake Shange. In the Zulu language, Ntozake means she who comes with her own things. Shange means she who walks like a lion, a name that replicates her approach to art and life. Although a series of strokes slowed down her speech and mobility, her intensity remains undimmed.
I think Ntozake Shange is a wonderful role model for young people coming up and for anybody of any age, really. For her to become world-renowned, really, for her literary exploits and accomplishments is just marvelous.
She was honored with the star on St. Louis's Walk of Fame.
I really thought it was important for her star to be in front of the future African American Cultural Center.
What St. Louis brought to me was a sterling kind of courage and a deep down colored sense of being that I don't know anywhere else I could have gotten.
She wrote from the black woman's perspective, and that's so important, especially in the era that she started her first writing.
Since those early writings, she's sustained a triple career as an educator, a performer-director, and a prolific writer. But first and foremost, Shange is a poet, authoring volumes of poetry, essays, and prose. She's written books, novels, and a number of critically acclaimed plays, but perhaps what she is best known for is her play, For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough, which earned her an Obie Award, a Tony nomination, and a Grammy nomination. It's a passionate and fearless blend of poetry, music, dance, and drama.
The title is elusive in some ways. I was going for the idea women who are in despair, who are at their last gleams of hope or fading, that there's something more mystical and more powerful than our thinking about ourselves losing hope or losing the ability to continue on.
For Colored Girls revealed what it meant to be black and a woman in the 20th century, a struggle that began with her as a young girl.
I was really torn between Susan B. Anthony and Sojourner Truth. I didn't know why I couldn't be a black freedom fighter and at the same time fight for the rights of women. But when I tried to put them together in terms of my civil rights at that time, I couldn't, because we couldn't vote. There were no women you could find as executives in important places. So my life as a woman was curtailed. My life as a black person was curtailed.
But Shange's career is anything but curtailed. Her words inspired women of color across the country as she reconciled the civil and equal rights movement in an artistic way.
For me to come into my fullness of being as a woman, the struggle of the people of color and the struggle of women has always been entwined. Sometimes one's leading ahead of the other, and then they change places in terms of importance or in terms of impact. But for me, the success of both movements is imperative.
Movements that occurred decades ago, but her passion is still alive.
My champion, the irrepressible Ntozake Shange.
In addition to receiving a star, she performed at the St. Louis Metropolitan Gallery. The performance, Dandling Participles and Shady Syllables, is part of the new art series. Legendary baritone saxophonist Hamiet Bluiett, the gallery's artistic director George Sams, and Claude Sloan teamed up to deliver a compilation of poems from the past 25 years. Most of the works chosen have a St. Louis connection. All of them amplify her purpose.
One year I found a column about assaults on women. So that was essentially, it was rape, it was listed as rape, not sexual battery. Sexual battery is a modern term. It used to be called just plain rape.
When For Colored Girl came into the consciousness was to deal with some of the painful things that we don't like to talk about and that the lives of women, particularly African American women, were not being told. So there's a bit of sweetness where I'd love to see some of those poems be able to be put on a back shelf to say they're dated. I remember this is also the home of Todd Aiken. And then when I heard that term, legitimate rape, it just pained me. In many ways, sadly so, some of Zaki's words from 30 years ago are more important and desperately so now. Every 3 minutes, a woman is beaten. Every 5 minutes, a woman is raped. Every 10 minutes, a little girl is molested, yet
It's important for both movements, for the women's movement and the movement of people of color, to continue on their individual paths and to segue when it's possible. I feel as though women of my generation have missed our calling in a way. If we find the young women of today to be vapid or shallow or ignorant, because then what were we doing if the following generation is all these terrible things? I'm not saying that the young people have totally screwed up. What I'm saying is that we haven't done enough to give them a firm foundation.
As her work continues, Shange's literature will serve as a perpetual beacon for civil rights, women's rights, crimes against women, and humanity, guiding each reader to enlightenment.
I don't regard reading as a leisure art. For me, it's entering a live field of energy. It's like being in a whirlpool of language and emotions. And that's what I'd like my readers and my listeners to get.